He does it for the show. A sentence that has haunted me for almost 2 years now. A sentence that played a huge role in the direction that my life took. And a sentence which I will explain in more detail for you shortly because I'm finally ready to tell this story. But before I do, I'm going to zoom out and focus on the main point of this episode, which is to explain why, as a nation, we are where we are and what we can do to fix it. And right away, the number one reason that we have the corrupt leadership that we have at the top, as well as trickling down into the individual states, into the individual systems, and into the individual families, is because many people in the country of the United States have come to define freedom as the ability to say and do whatever one wants, regardless of how it harms or impacts another or the collective. I'm going to say that again. Too many people in this country have come to define freedom as the ability to say and do whatever one wants, regardless of how it harms another or harms the collective. That is the attitude that many people hold in this country, is, well, I have the freedom to say and do whatever I want. How often do you hear freedom of speech? A lot of people don't even understand what freedom of speech really means. But people think that, well, if I own it, or if I just exist here, then I have the freedom to just say and do whatever. Because I own it. Because I'm here. Because freedom of speech. That is one of the biggest reasons why we're at where we're at. Think about the people who you know who voted for Donald Trump and who like Pete Hegseth. They're the people who are the loudest. They're the people who will shove that belief system in your face. Because Trump shoves that belief system into our faces. They are the people who will openly speak about their prejudice, about their racism, about their homophobia, about their sexism. And sometimes they'll use their quote-unquote faith as a reason to further push it, right? How often has religion been used as an excuse for discrimination, especially when it comes to homophobia? Well, that doesn't fit my religion's definition of marriage. Fuck your religion's definition of marriage. And I mean that. Fuck your religion's definition of marriage. Any religion that excludes anybody from love and the actual freedom that we do have to express our love is not a religion. It's a cult mindset. It's an elitist group that raises themselves up above another. How is it okay to exercise the freedom of spewing hate, yet prevent the freedom of love? That's a very twisted, upside down culture. That's wrong. Any religion that excludes people from love is wrong. And I really do mean that. We have a very misconstrued idea of freedom. Because your freedom of religion, your freedom of expression with that religion does not mean that you have the right to tell people their love is wrong. You're wrong. Enough. And I'm going to go ahead and say it again. I do not think that it's a coincidence that the same religion that's used to discriminate against LGBTQ folks is the one that these corrupt leaders are clinging to. You know why? Because it can easily be used to control people. People will happily or easily engage in hate because it doesn't align with their religion. Check yourself. Check your religion. So one of the reasons why we're in the state that we're in is that freedom has been misconstrued. Freedom is not saying and doing whatever you want, regardless of how it harms other people. Because guess what? Saying you love the sinner, hate the sin, that harms people. You can't compartmentalize people like that. You can't say, well, I don't agree with it. No, Nope. Because for everybody to engage in equality, we have to agree with it. Would we say, okay, think about the school system. I don't really agree with school, but, it is what it is. Nope. In order for school to function, for people to have a right to education, we all have to agree that everyone has a right to education. Because what's inside comes outside and affects the systems that we are in. What you believe cannot be separated from the systems that we are in. Compartmentalization is a lie. Everything spills over. The other reason that we're in the current place that we're in is because of the show. It's because people are gaining something from the president's mouth. He's all over the media. Don't lie to yourself and think that the shit he says is just him spouting stuff off. Now, he is a narcissist. He is insane. But people are profiting off of it. And I'm going to go ahead and say I think that's part of the reason why he was allowed into the office, because people knew they could make money off of him. Because that's tied to our definition of freedom too, right? Like, I am free to make money however I want, regardless of how it harms others. That's a core belief system in the United States. That's a core belief system. And I'm here today to say that some things should have ended before they began. Who Trump is not a secret, right? He put it all out there. It's not a secret. People have just been numbed into accepting it. The systems we live in allow people to be monsters. Because we come from a culture that says, well, I have the freedom to say and do whatever I want, regardless of how it harms people. I have the freedom to make money however I want, regardless of how it harms people. This is why this country is imploding. Because we don't take care of people, because we allow hate for the purposes of profit and a skewed vision of freedom. This is why we are imploding. And the way that the world works is what's harming the victims will eventually harm the perpetrators. It already is. They just aren't admitting it yet. So let me back up a little bit and tell my story related to the he does it for the show. And then I'm going to talk about some of the things that we can do, because we do still have power to change things. So I've got some solutions for you today as well. So let me rewind to he does it for the show. I don't know that I've ever gotten into specifics about why I quit teaching. I've definitely, talked about some generalizations about it, but I'm just going to get into some specifics today. I walked away from teaching abruptly. It was messy. One day I just had enough. And I quit because of death by 1,000 cuts, but there was one sentence. And when I reflect on that, there was one sentence actually tied to an experience that really ended it for me. I was in a classroom and there was a bully who was consistently laughing at and mocking a girl who had a disability. There were countless documentations of him bullying this girl, and she was crying often because she would be trying to participate in class. She would be trying to learn, to be an active learner, and because of her disability, when it affected her ability to speak in class. And there was one boy who was at the heart of it, but it was a group of boys who would laugh at her openly. And once this boy laughed at her while the principal was in the room. It was obvious he was right there laughing at her, but the principal was talking. He was enjoying the sound of his own voice and didn't notice. But I noticed. I had been noticing. And so when the principal was finished talking, I asked him to come out in the hallway with me and the boy. And I confronted the boy. And I said to him, why don't you tell the principal why you were laughing at, to protect her privacy, I won't say her name, why you were laughing at her. Oh, I wasn't. Yes, you were. You were laughing at her when she was speaking. I wasn't. Now, the principal took my side in that he said, no, if she saw you laughing, you were laughing, so we're not doing that. Okay, so he took my side in that, but then, the boy got kind of sheepish all of a sudden, and just. But then, rather than facing any kind of consequence for openly mocking someone with a disability, instead, I got a speech from the principal about how this boy does it for the show. A speech about how this boy family goes to church, right? Of all places, with the principal. And he was talking with his family at the church, and, he does it for the show. He does it for the laughs. And that's what he's doing it for. And here's how that translates, okay? Just in case you're not seeing what that really means. How he does it for the show translates is, I'm making an excuse for this boy. It's okay that he mocks and dehumanizes this female student because he's just doing it for attention. Wow, this comes full circle, doesn't it? What happens on the micro level happens on the macro level. You know who else is just doing it for the show? Our president. Do you know that people make money off of him dehumanizing and mocking people? He does it for the show. That boy returned to class. He was put right back in that classroom. After openly mocking and dehumanizing a female student who was brave enough to speak up in class, who was brave enough to actually learn. That boy was putting his energy into mocking and dehumanizing for the show, and the one who was punished for it was the brave girl who was learning how to use her voice, who was working with challenges that other people didn't have, but she did it anyway. That girl is the one who deserves to be president. Not the boy laughing at her. Not the principal enabling that behavior. And my friends, that's ultimately why I quit, is because I began to feel like a whistleblower. I was seeing that no matter how many times I documented harassment and bullying, it was being allowed for the show. We don't just have corruption at the top. We have it in every system. It's all connected. And it needs to end. Donald Trump should not have been allowed to be president the moment that video leaked where he was talking about grabbing women by the pussy. Because he's a celebrity and they let him do it. Let's pause and just think about that for a second. Because he was doing that for the show too. He was bragging about sexually assaulting women. He was bragging about that and dismissed it as locker room talk. You know what I've never said in the locker room or behind closed doors? I've never said, I love grabbing dudes by the dick. Yeah, no, they just let me do it because I'm super powerful. I just grab them by the dick. Yeah, I've never said that in private. Because guess what? What we say in private, what we are in private, comes out in the public. Again, we cannot compartmentalize who we are. What's inside comes outside. That's how it works. We are holistic beings, for better or worse. And when that video leaked, that should have been it. Hey, Trump, you openly brag about dehumanizing and assaulting half of our population. That's not okay. We don't tolerate that. You're out of the running. That should have been it. Back in 2016. That should have been it. But instead, a very clear message was sent to the women of this country and sent to the men of this country. We tolerate sexual assault against women. In fact, we honor it because we put people who do that sort of thing in positions of power. Of course he's going to harm others. Of course it's going to extend beyond just women, because nobody harms just one type of people. Okay? The people who are racist also tend to be abusive toward their families. The people who are homophobic also tend to be withholding from their families. It's not just all or nothing. Hate spreads. Hate festers. So of course we're in this position. We honored Donald Trump's bragging about sexually assaulting women by putting him in a leadership position. He does it for the show. It was just locker room talk. He was doing it for the show. Fuck his show, man. I don't want to watch this show anymore. I really don't want to watch this show. Who's entertained by bullying? Who's entertained? Why is this a show? Why is this our regular programming? I don't want to watch it. I don't want to live it. I don't want to watch other people be dehumanized and mocked because some dick is doing it for the show. No. You're out. You're done. This is not tolerated here. And this naturally leads me into the solution, which is we have to create environments where bullying is not tolerated. We can't keep giving chances. We can't keep allowing it. No, you're just done. You're out. And my friends, do not think that you don't have power. Your workplace, your home, your sports team, all of these places are places of power. Do not let celebrity culture make you think that your impact on this world does not matter. The world is built by people, and those in the spotlight do not run the show. We have power. Freedom, actual freedom, is defined by everybody having equal rights to what humans need, which is the freedom to love, the freedom to have education, the freedom to a stable life where we all can make an equal living, the freedom to feel safe. And I'm going to go ahead and say that's the number one freedom. Everybody has a right to feel safe. Do you think people feel safe in this country right now? Do you think people have felt safe in this country ever? The biggest lie that people tell is that things used to be safe. No. Things used to be safe for white people, specifically white men, white straight men, while other people were just silenced and suppressed and oppressed. This country was never safe. This country was stolen. People were enslaved to build it. This country was never safe. It was safe for some. But that's not really safety. Safety doesn't really exist unless it exists for everybody. And I can tell you that. From teaching in a classroom that was safe for some people but not for everybody, well, that classroom can't really function, can it? How are people supposed to learn when they're being mocked and bullied and it's just tolerated? Often encouraged because, oh, well, he's doing it for the show. This has to end. This has to be cut off before it explodes. People have to open their eyes and their hearts to obvious forms of destruction. It can't be tolerated. People cannot allow themselves to be brainwashed. I can't understand. I'm going to be honest with you. I can't understand the people who can look at dehumanization and tolerate it. I can't understand people who listened to what that president had to say and said, you know what, that's okay. It's all right. How can people ignore the hate? How could people ignore his bragging about sexual assault? I don't understand. I can't understand. And this relates to my last episode a little bit about how we can't just be fed things. We have to get to a place where we can think for ourselves. Think about the ways that we can actually create freedom. So, like I said before, Freedom begins by not tolerating hate. And yeah, sometimes we have to go to extremes and just fire someone. I don't give a shit about these policies where you get 50 chances. Nope, you've said or done something dehumanizing, you're fired. That's one way that you can make this better. Do not tolerate harassing behavior. Do not tolerate dehumanization. Someone makes a racist comment, because here's the thing, if someone's made a racist comment, chances are there's been a lot of build-up to that. Now, here's where you can use your critical thinking and go, okay, is this someone who just needs to be educated, or is this someone who's internalized this hate? Because we all have some bias to a certain extent based on how we were raised, the communities we grew up in, and the biology of seeking out sameness, right? You trust your heart and your intuition about, is this somebody who's just straight up a racist, or are they willing to learn? And signs that they're willing to learn are that they step back and they listen to you. They apologize and they mean it. They look embarrassed. If someone looks embarrassed, that's generally a sign that they said what they said out of ignorance. They didn't know better. And be willing to teach them. Don't shame them, but explain, hey, you know what? Okay, here's something as simple as pronouns, right? You know, these pronouns are an important part of my identity. We don't have to dwell on it, you know, that you got the wrong one, but I just need you to say he and not she, okay? Because how, you know, a pronoun is equal to a name, right? Our names are our identity. Our pronouns are our identity. So I need you to treat me as who I am. Give a simple lesson. Don't lecture, don't shame. Give a simple lesson. So use your judgment to decide, does this person live here in this hate, or did this person make a mistake? And generally you can tell if they live in the hate, if they defend it, if they push it, or if they make excuses and they put it on you. Meaning like, well, I'm sorry if you heard it that way, but that's not what I meant. I'm sorry if your feelings were hurt, but what I meant was this. Okay? That's a sign that they meant it, because they're putting the blame on you for their shitty behavior and their shitty words. Cut people off who live in their hatred. Get them out. We don't tolerate that here. And that sends a message to other people as well, that it's not tolerated. And what happens when we pull out these people who are spreading hate is the people who are creating love and learning and compassion have room to thrive. And then before you know it, the more that we weed out the hate, the more that we're building strong communities of love where this hate just can't exist anymore. The more we have communities all over the country where people are treating each other with respect, open to learning about each other, because we do have to be able to learn. And that's where that bias piece comes in, of like, create spaces where people can learn about each other, where people are safe to learn about each other. And now we have communities of educated, compassionate people who are looking to spread that elsewhere. Freedom begins by ending our tolerance of bullies and hatred. You're just done. You also got to call out your kids when they're being assholes, because that's something that we're losing too. Parents are so tired, or, you know, they're so tired from how often they're working, how compartmentalized their lives are, or how checked out they are, right? Because this relates back to my episode about in the wrong hands, in the wrong homes, where so many parents are just involved in their escapist tendencies because they're out of touch with who they are and what they want, that they don't see their kids for who they are. There's a lot of kids out there who are assholes because they're not being called on it. Or we've got the other extreme of parents who are too much in therapy talk of gently asking their kids to process their feelings, when it's like, no, your kid just needs to be told that they're being an asshole. Because kids learn things. Kids develop bad habits. And they need to be called on it. Chris Rock had in one of his comedy specials a story about how his daughter would bite people when she was young. And he's like, she came out like that. We didn't teach her to bite people, but she bit people. Kids need to be educated too. She needed to be taught not to bite people. So some things kids learn, some things kids just are, and it needs to be corrected. It needs to be taught. Listen to your kids. Listen to their comments. Listen to how they talk about people. Listen to how they treat people and call them out on it. Don't tolerate it in your home. And I can tell you, I have a lot of experience with this as a parent of my kids going for the throat, meaning they just insult each other, they hurt each other, or they engage in petty behaviors where they passive aggressively attack the other one because they're jealous of something. Call your kids out on it. Do not tolerate it. I found out one of my kids via someone else was cyber bullying someone. I mean, maybe not bullying, but just like she made some sort of a video where she was commenting on someone copying her and posted, like, it was this passive aggressive. She was posting about somebody, commenting on her. I don't know. She was mocking someone. Okay, we can leave it at that. Well, guess what? I made sure she did not have access to that app anymore via anyone. She was done. Oh, this is what you're going to do? Okay, you're done. We don't treat people like that. You have power in your home. And sometimes your kids are assholes. My kids have been assholes. You have to call them on it. You have to stop it. Because guess what? They're going to be assholes at school. They're going to be assholes with their friends. They're going to be assholes on their sports team. And while I'm at it, ask yourself if you're an asshole. Do you make passive-aggressive comments? Do you bully people? Are you comparing yourself to people so bad where like you can't talk about anything else besides people? Are you tearing people down? Engage in some self-reflection. Do you have something that you need to work on? And this is coming from someone who's worked on a lot. I've certainly been an asshole. I have certainly made some destructive, harmful mistakes. And after doing that, I reflected and said, you know what? I'm an asshole. I probably shouldn't do that. I'm in so much pain that I'm causing others pain. I should probably stop and really deal with my pain instead of numbing it or engaging in escapist things to deal with it. That's actually what my book Sheltered is about. It's in the title, Sheltered. It's the ways that we shelter ourselves from our dreams, from our pain, from challenging things and engage in escapism, but harming people in the process. And it's a novel, it's a story, and you should read it. It's a good way to kind of engage with the things that are holding us back, preventing us from love, preventing us from treating each other, and numbing us to the ways that we harm other people. So definitely go to my website, lovingcreatively.com, and order Sheltered, There's a lot of honesty in that book. Freedom is not defined by our ability to say and do whatever we want. Freedom, true freedom, is creating an environment where everyone feels safe. Everyone. Creating an environment where we protect our earth, too. Because that's the other way that freedom has been misconstrued, in our exploitation of the planet. Freedom isn't exploiting and extracting every resource from the earth without concern for how it impacts the plant and animal life and the very air we breathe. That's not freedom. That's exploitation, and that's profiting off of harm. We have to stop profiting off of harm. Because it's affecting all of us. That's the thing. Everything is a cycle. And those doing the harm, number one, they wear it on their face, okay? Look at anybody who is a monster. They don't look well, okay? It's coming out. Like, karma's a real thing. And it can't be hidden for long. Think about that too. The dehumanization and the harm always comes out. I mean, the beauty of this time right now, I guess, is that everything's exposed. That is one gift that Donald Trump has given us, is that he's such a monster, he can't hide how monstrous our systems are. Because one man is not solely responsible for the state of this country. Our systems are. He was allowed to be where he is. He was tolerated for the show. He was tolerated because we don't have a system that stops bullies. We have a system that enables bullies to be absolved of their crimes. What we really need in this country is a reset, to acknowledge the truth that, hey, this government was built off of stealing land first, dehumanizing the people we stole it from, and then bringing in people from other countries, dehumanizing them in order to profit off of their free labor. The fuck? It starts with acknowledging that and then saying, okay, we weren't there those hundreds of years ago, but we're here now and we know that it happened. So how can we do better? How can we fix this? How can we fix this bullshit we were born into so that we actually have a place where everyone feels safe, where we're taking care of each other, where we're taking care of the earth, where we're accountable for our bullshit? That's what we need to do. And it's actually really simple. And you can start with the systems that you live in right now. You can start with your home. Start with your home. Listen to my episode about in the wrong hands and in the wrong home. Are you in a toxic home right now? Meaning you're staying for the wrong reasons. You're staying because you don't want to give up certain material comforts. You're staying because you think it would be too hard to leave. You're not doing yourself any favors. You're not doing your kids any favors. I promise you, as someone who has gone through it in different ways multiple times, it's always worth it to get out, to rebuild, to discover who you are. The best example you can set for your children is living a healthy life yourself. By taking care of yourself and being honest with yourself. Your children are not benefiting from your masks. All that teaches them is how to wear masks. And they see. You can't pretend no matter what you post on social media. You can't pretend. So a system that is in your control to fix right now is your home. Are you in the right home? Or are you settling for something toxic and superficial because you're too afraid of what's on the other side? You're too afraid of judgment. If you're in a toxic home that you know isn't right for you, take the risk to rebuild. I promise you it's worth it. Be honest about your kids. Have they become assholes? Do they need a course correction? They're not assholes at heart, but maybe they've learned some bad habits. Maybe they were born with some shitty habits that they need to learn from. Open your eyes and look at your kids and the type of people they are, how they treat other people. That's huge. Pay attention to how your kids treat people, whether it's their siblings, the neighbors, kids at school. If your kid's teacher tells you that your kid's being an asshole, believe them. Don't make excuses for them. Address it. This is one system you can fix right now, and it will have a ripple effect. Take an honest look at your home. Make adjustments where you need to. At work. Do not allow toxic, racist, homophobic, sexist people inside. You see some of those hints that I mentioned earlier in the episode? They're gone. You're out. We don't tolerate this here. Reward people for compassion and kindness by putting them in leadership positions. Acknowledge their compassion and concern for others. Reward the people who are doing well. Reward the people who value true freedom and compassion and safety, because those people are out there. Even in the system that I was working in, there were some good people at that school. That's why I stayed as long as I did. I sought out the good people, the people who valued what I valued, the people who valued safety, true education, equality for the girls who were being bullied and dehumanized. They were there. And I did everything in my power that I could with them while I was there. Reward the people who are doing right by humanity and the earth. Put them in positions of leadership. And I know this is going to sound out there, but when we have people in positions of leadership who value compassion, kindness, safety, restoration, reconciliation, the environment, well, golly, we might just live in a world where we have those things, where those things are the norm. Compassion, kindness, reconciliation, safety, restoration. When we have people who are in positions of leadership who value those things, our world is probably going to look a lot different. And I believe that we are at the peak of corruption being exposed. And once something is exposed and out in the open, well, now we're aware of it and we can deal with it. And my friends, what you can do is begin in your own home. Begin in your own communities. If you're a coach, especially, you're coaching kids, man, especially in the US, sports are everything. Listen to what your players are saying to each other. The girl who said, "You suck, you're so annoying" to my daughter said it right there on the sidelines in front of the coach, and he didn't hear her. Open your ears. Have an awareness of what's going on around you. Pay attention to what the kids are saying and doing. And call them on it. Do not tolerate it. You can start in your community, and I promise you, again, despite the lies that celebrity culture might have told you, your impact matters. Your influence absolutely matters. We are so much more connected than we think in this world, for better or worse. And those at the top do not run the show. They may do it for the show, but they don't run the show. Yes, they have power, but they don't have all the power. We are meant to live collectively. We are meant to connect with each other, to create together. And we still have that power despite how loud the bullies are. Another thing that you can do is share this episode, share my podcast, follow me. I'm back. And as you can see, I've had a lot to say since I've been back. Go back and listen to old episodes. I'm here to help. I'm a teacher, right? I don't just talk to talk. I'm a teacher by nature. I offer you something in every episode. I offer you help. And this isn't coming from someone who's lived a perfect life. This is coming from someone who has lived a very vulnerable life. From someone who's made some shitty mistakes, but from someone who's also learned from them and learned how to create from them. So you're not hearing this from somebody who's had a perfect life. I've had some pretty public mistakes, some things that I was shamed for. I've been down. I've had moments where I thought I would be better off dead. You're hearing this from somebody who knows. From somebody who's been kicked and abused by some of these same systems. From somebody who has been an asshole and learned from it. And instead uprooted the shitty things that lurked in her heart and planted some seeds of compassion and honesty and vulnerability instead. Please share my podcast. Please post about something if it resonated with you. Go back and listen to old episodes. Because I want to help. I want to help you. And although I can relate to maybe some of the shit that you're going through, I also want to share my wisdom with you. I want to share the kindness that I've learned with you. I want to share my resilience with you. I want to tell you it's never too late. I don't give a shit how old you are. Okay? And let's get real about our 20s, right? Like, for most of us, our 20s were not our peak. I know it's portrayed as the peak a lot, like, oh, your 20s are when you're living up. No, I was an idiot in my 20s. I didn't understand shit in my 20s. I don't care how old you are. It's never too late. Are you alive? If you're alive, it's not too late. Don't follow the bullshit of this culture of like, well, just because, you're 30 plus, 60 plus, 70 plus, and you've reached your productivity limit, that it's too late. It's not. If you're alive, it's not too late. You can make a powerful, lasting impact on yourself, your family, your community, and this world at large. You are so powerful, my friend, and you have so many gifts to share with this world. Give yourself the honor of being brave enough to discover what they are and the positive impact that they can have. and teach the world what true freedom is. True freedom is not saying and doing whatever we want, no matter how it hurts people. True freedom is not profiting off of harm. True freedom isn't for the show. True freedom is safety, is compassion, is equality, is kindness, is growth, is creativity. That is true freedom. Spread that. Learn that. And in the meantime, thanks for coming.